Hello from Shaketsi. So every Thursday at 6 o'clock, we are holding space on Clubhouse so that leaders can share what we can do to help us and our teams through these crazy times. So tonight at 6 o'clock, we're talking about communication. Last Thursday, we talked about how can we build connection in these disconnected times. Some great people showed up and there were some really, really good conversations. And I just wanted to quickly share a couple of the things I heard. So we talked about how Zoom on one hand has become the great democratizer. So the barriers between work and life have pretty well dissolved. There's always a dog barking or a kid walking through the door when you least expect it, which is in some ways really nice because it's democratized everything. Apart from, of course, if you are not yet lucky enough to have your own house with your own garden. Mark asked us to imagine what it would feel like if you were living in a shared house and so you had to work from your room every day. It has never been so important. Really make sure you start where people are and think about what might be affecting their mental state. So basically, don't always insist on a Zoom and don't always insist that everybody turns on their camera. Allow people to be who they are, where they are. And you know what? Why always Zoom? Jump on a call. It's sometimes better. There's something about just audio that's more intimate. It can dial up our other senses. And I personally, and I know that a lot of the people who joined the call really love the idea of doing walk and talks. It changes the way that you have a conversation. Remember, it's really important that people connect as humans, not as members of a team. Once people have really bonded, once they've built trust, they will watch each other's backs and they will want to work together. So do whatever you can to make sure that people bond as humans. Ask them at the beginning of every session, how are you doing? How's your family? How is your day? And for God's sakes, if you ask them how they're feeling, really listen and respond. It's so important for people to feel cared for right now. And it's not easy, especially when we're all so busy being busy. But sincere appreciation and recognition is really, really powerful. So on the kind of bonding as humans things, there are a couple of really lovely hacks I wanted to share with you. Ask them to use photographs of who they are when they're not working as their backdrop and give them a minute at the beginning of the meeting to talk about why they chose that particular photograph. Do something collaborative and productive with them, something improvisational, something unexpected, something that allows them to come out of their shell and break down those barriers. Cyrus mentioned a karaoke app. It sounds, what fun would that be? You know, give yourselves a bit of time at the beginning there to just make sure you're connected and you're in the right mindset. As my adorable friend Sophie says, if you want something done, make it fun. Mark was talking about the idea of actually sharing something physical, even though we're in virtual space. So send them a prop, all have the same drink, all eat the same food, whatever. Do something physical so you really feel that you're doing the same thing. Just remember that humans function better when they are being, not just doing. So don't think of these things as wasting time. It's just making sure that your doing time is productive time. We talked a lot about leading by example. You don't need to be the boss. Be the conductor. Don't pretend you know all the answers because you don't. But together, we can figure out pretty well anything. Create space so that it genuinely is a collaborative process so that something that's bigger than the sum of the parts can emerge. And be vulnerable. It's hard, but be vulnerable. We are not perfect. We all make mistakes. We do not know everything. So recognize your fallibility, admit you don't know all the answers, leave space for people to fill so you can really co-create of whatever solution you come up with. Oh, and remember, we are hardwired to think our own ideas are the best ideas. So be mindful of that. Dial down your cognitive biases. Listen, learn, be genuine, transparent, authentic. And Kate made a really good point. There is power in silence and space. So modulate the meeting. And she also mentioned, I'm probably guilty of this, make sure that you organize the meeting in a way whereby introverts can participate as much as extroverts. And then the pragmatic stuff. Make sure at the beginning of the meeting, you've got a clear shared focus. What does success look like? Make sure you have deadlines. Yes, compliment people, make them feel heard, but make sure that everyone in the room knows what success looks like for that meeting. Mark suggested a really good question that's worth asking, just to focus thinking. Why does that matter to you? PowerPoint. It's bad enough. It's a brain cell killer in the real world, and in the virtual world, it's a killer. So keep any presentations you have to do really, really super short and focused. And if you need to have big meetings, use breakouts as much as humanly possible, because big is not always better. So yeah, thank you ever so much for everybody who came along. I learned loads, I think we all did. 6 o'clock tonight, we're talking about what hacks do you use to make sure that the comms across your teams are absolutely awesome, because in silence lies fear. So hopefully I'll see you at 6 o'clock.